Hi! Man, this video has been tough for me to make. This is basically like the 13th or 14th, and what's pathetic is I haven't even gotten over a minute yet. Okay, I normally don't make sports videos, but I love sports. Well, I love certain sports. I love football. I love football and I love MMA. Now, Ohio State, Michigan. I think it's the best rivalry in sports. The Ohio militia and the Michigan militia actually faced off against each other over Toledo. And of course, Ohio won. Now, people might say, well, Auburn and Alabama is the best rivalry, or Florida and Florida State, or whatever. Well, did you actually have two militias facing off? No. Yankees and Red Sox. No. Actually, the two states, the rivalry from the politics of the two states and the militias actually transcended into the football field. So the only thing that wouldn't make Ohio State and Michigan the best rivalry is that Ohio State's dominated. Since Jim Tressel came, Jim Tressel and then Luke Fickell lost. I believe I think Fickell lost, and Tressel lost once against Michigan. Then Urban Meyer comes, and he was 7-0 against Michigan. So if there's any case that it's not the best rivalry, that's the case. That Michigan just hasn't won. However, during John Cooper was the coach. Cooper was he never. I think he beat Michigan once, so it's not like it wasn't a rivalry then. I mean, just there's ups and downs. Eventually Michigan's going to get a coach, and they're going to have a good time. So. Ohio State fans, watch what you say, because it's going to come back at you, and it's going to be back and forth. And although Michigan does have the all-time leader in recent modern history, Ohio State has the series. So I think it's pretty even, whatever way you want to slice it. Now, onto this game. Ohio State -9. Now, that number really confused me. Before it came out, I was expecting Ohio State to be -13. Now I'm talking about betting odds. I'm talking about odds. Now, there's some people that think, well, if you're a Christian, you shouldn't even look at odds, or you shouldn't look at sports betting. Now, I'm not going to justify sports betting or not. But if you think the lottery is a good system, if you think it's okay for your community to have a lottery, and then for the lottery money to go to schools or go to taxes, so people don't have to pay as much taxes, then I think that's the most corrupt way. Because what's the chances of actually making money off a slot machine? I mean, actually making real money. What's the chances of making real money on the roulette table unless you play red or black, and then you have almost a 50% chance, but not quite, because you have that little green slot. In sports betting, Ohio State, Michigan -9, Ohio State, you basically have a 50% chance or greater that Ohio State's either going to win or it's going to tie. You have a 50% chance or greater that Ohio State's going to win or lose by less than 9. So, do you see my point? You can't go, in my opinion, you can't go and say, oh, well, it's okay to have slot machines, but sports betting no, it doesn't work like that. I think that sports betting, if you're going to have any sort of wagering, sports betting is the most just, because it gives the player, the person who wants to play. Now, it's not quite 50% because you have juice, and we're not going to get into all that. We're just for this purposes, it's close to 50% chance. I mean, you can just blindly pick, winners or losers with the point spread. Now, we're not going money line, but just the point spreads. And if you don't analyze things, it's luck. Anyway, if you do analyze, let's analyze this. Ohio State -9 against Michigan. That's a surprising number. I thought it would be Ohio State -13. Ohio State -12. Because consider this, Wisconsin beat Michigan. Ohio State, now they didn't just beat them, they embarrassed them. But of course it was at home. It was at Wisconsin's home. Now when Wisconsin came to Ohio State embarrassed Wisconsin. Now Michigan went to Penn State, and Penn State beat Michigan by a touchdown. But this was the turning point of the season, I think, was the halftime of the Penn State-Michigan game. Coach Harbaugh was interviewed when they were coming back out of the tunnel, and he said something along the line. He quoted Churchill. He said, "This is going to be our greatest hour," or something like that. He quoted Winston Churchill. And that stuck in my head because I thought, well, that's a kind of cool thing to say. They lost that game, but they did come back, and they dominated the second half against Penn State, even though the scoreboard didn't reflect the total domination. And ever since then, Michigan has not lost. And that Notre Dame game, wow. I mean, if you think Georgia is the legit number 4 team in the country, if you think they are legit, if you think they're even 5, Notre Dame went to Georgia. They went to Athens. They lost by 6. I think the number was 6. They lost by 6. Or was it 8? I think it was 6. It was single digits. It was close. It was closer than anyone thought. Notre Dame goes to Michigan. Michigan mops the floor with Notre Dame. That game wasn't even close. I mean, Ian Book, he now that was a pretty big rainstorm they played in. That was it was basically a run game, which played into Michigan's favor. So, Michigan had the advantage there. But still, Michigan out-toughed Notre Dame. And the SEC kind of prides itself with being tougher. But Notre Dame held in there with Georgia, who also is a running team, with Swift. The way Michigan manhandled Notre Dame, it was very impressive. I don't like Michigan, but when I saw that, before then I'm thinking, man, Ohio State's going to beat them by 21. After seeing that, and what Michigan has done to other foes like Indiana, not Indiana, well, I won't say, Indiana was okay, but they did march down the field twice in the beginning. But the version of Indiana that Ohio State beat was a lot better. Anyway, not a lot better, but was better. But anyway, Ohio State did beat Penn State by 11. That game wasn't close. That game wasn't an 11-point game. Now, the point spread for that game was 18.5. Now, Ohio State probably should have won that game by 18 because Justin Fields, he fumbled going into the end zone. And then I think there was 3 OSU fumbles. Now, Penn State did throw that interception. But actually, Penn State's backup quarterback did better than their starting quarterback. I think Ohio State planned so well for their starting that, their backup, he did well because we didn't plan for them. So, with common opponents, it's not close. Ohio State has significantly beaten yardage-wise and on the score. Now, 11 points against Penn State might not be a domination, but if you look at all the inside numbers, they really beat them more. If you can beat someone by 11 with 3 turnovers, 1 turnover, going into the end zone and fumbling the ball, that was a pretty good beat. I mean, and Ryan Day didn't want to give anything away to Michigan. I mean, they ran the ball. They got these receivers. Now, speaking of receivers, we're going to go back to this. I don't get this. People say the one advantage Michigan has over Ohio State is our receiver core. They're receivers. I don't accept that. I don't believe that. I think that Olive, the sophomore Olive, I think he's from San Diego, I'm not sure, for Ohio State, he is more of a gamer than anyone on Michigan. He's not the tallest. He's not the fastest. He is the best route runner, but he is a gamer, and he thrashed Michigan last year. I think Ohio State has Victor, and they have a player that I'm not even thinking of who's about to break the record for receptions. Ohio State might not be as fast, but I think they have better route runners. They have a better receiver system. And if you go player by player by player, Ohio State's got better players. So why is this line -9? If you would remove the Ohio State jerseys and and say it was Cincinnati against UAB, and the Cincinnati players were actually the Ohio State players, and the UAB players were actually the Michigan players. You have these same sort of players and different uniforms going at it. It would be a lot. It wouldn't be -9. It would be like -13 or 14. I think the fact that it's the rivalry game and it really hasn't been close though. I mean, some of the games have been close, but some of them, like last year, haven't been close. I think a big factor is actually playing in Michigan. Now, there's some odds makers that will give the home field advantage 3 points. I think that's ridiculous. I think home field means a lot more than 3 points. So maybe that's where it is because I say -13 or 14 and is actually -12. So you add, if I think the home field is really -6, well then, maybe that's where the numbers are coming. College football is a lot different than the NFL. And actually, in the NFL, the home field advantage, I think, means more than -3. I don't know why people think -3 points. I mean, I was at the game where Corey Dillon broke the rushing record against the Denver Broncos. The Broncos were a lot better team than the Bengals, but the Bengals, for being such a bad team, they won their fair. They won quite a few games just for the home field advantage. Michigan, that's the one thing that scares me. Now, another factor, Chase Young. Wow. Chase Young is the best player in the country. Joe Burrow is going to go first. Joe Burrow is going to win the Heisman. Yeah, I think Joe Burrow is going to be a bust in the NFL. I think Chase Young is going to be, he's going to be the best player from this draft class. He is incredible. He should win the Heisman. There's very few people that can consistently game in and game out actually change the course of the games. Not just one play, but multiple plays on multiple games. Chase Young is that player. So with everything I've said, I think Ohio State is the better team. If this was an indoor at a dome, Ohio State would, I think this would be probably a 21-point game. But it's supposed to be rainy or snowy in Michigan. It's outdoors. It's going to be cold. Ohio State's offensive line has not impressed me. Now, I think Michigan's defensive line is better than expected. I don't want to jinx the Buckeyes here. So, what would I go? I don't know. It's a hard play. In a rivalry game, I would take the points. I'd go Michigan +9. Now, this is how I really think this game is going to go, though. I think that Ohio State has probably a 50% chance of winning by 3 touchdowns if Ryan Day wanted to. But then I think there's probably a 35% chance that Michigan could actually win outright. So maybe I think the play here is Michigan is the underdog. Taking Michigan, because the underdog gets more. I don't know what the exact number is, but whatever the number is, I think Michigan has a better chance of winning the game than that number reflects and the money line reflects. So I wouldn't even go with the number. I think Ohio State has just as good of a chance as winning over 9 than they do +9. If they're the better team, but mistakes and the home field. In this game, I mean, crazy things happen. I give Michigan a 30 to 35% chance of winning, and that's why if I was going to bet on this game, I would bet money line, just not taking my fandom out of it. Just if I was a gambler, I would take Michigan the money line. I think that's the smart play. I hope that's a losing ticket though. I hope the Buckeyes are the ticket. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I would like to hear what you think the point spread should be. Thank you very much.